Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
And I'm reaching out to all of my brothers and sisters on the African continent. You're tuning into the Black.
Songea karibu mpenzi, nieleze kinagaubaga jinsi unavyonienzi nami sija kamna ubaya. We really dig your style, make original, by your smile. No, I'd run an extra mile for your love, baby. For your love, go I need up all night if you want it. My love, I can play your wife and pay you your children. My love, we getting married on Tuesday. So any picky, yeah. Lonely, oh. When I look into your eyes, I'm addicted. I've been losing myself for a decade. Hard to what to say me. Early in the morning, it burn me bright with desire. It burn me bright with desire. Give me your love all day, I will reciprocate all night. Make you want to relocate. Scripture and original, I won't beg you. Busy come to hit the road and the highway, give it all up for you. For your love, go I need up all night if you want it. My love, I can play your wife and pay you your children. My love, we getting married on Tuesday. So any picky, yeah. It burn me bright with desire. It burn me bright with desire. Go down, go down, go up. Get up. Go down, go up. Wake up. We getting married on Tuesday.
Good afternoon, family. Tabby for Life, playing right here on the media of the 21st century. That is Tuesday, the latest jam, literally. Run it up on Spotify. And of course, listen to all our amazing songs. Karibuni sana to another episode of the Pan-African Bully Show right here on the media of the 21st century. And of course, it is 2 minutes past 2 p.m. right here in Kenya. A beautiful weather actually today. It's sunny. I'm quite surprised, but of course, let me know where are you tuned in from, and of course, what is the weather on your end? And welcome to today's conversation. We shall be talking about the system, how it is designed by the rich to keep the poor begging. And we're talking about, of course, Africa, the US, and the rest of the continent, or European power, Western powers, how they've been literally keeping control of the African nations as we celebrate the fake independencies and all that. But along that, we also want to talk about, of course, the true independent countries and what they're going through. We're talking about the Alliance Sahel state. Mali has so far confirmed that they have killed 80 Al-Qaedas, so we shall be getting into details on that. We want to talk about a little bit of what is happening in Liberia as we review the history of the one and only William Tolbert, who actually, I'd say, according to how I'm understanding the history, I think he was a dictator. That's why he was overthrown under a coup, but at the same time, you look at literally so many things that happened during his time. The World Bank literally paving its way also in Liberia. It's very, very questionable. And of course, it's being buried. Actually, this is after 45 years. Very historical, of course, for Liberia today. But along that, also want to talk about what is happening in also Burkina Faso. Literally, generally, the whole Alliance Sahel state, and now they've taken control of their resources. And how disturbing this is to the white people, to the point where they're saying that this is only for the military regimes or groups to see how they can benefit from the gold, which is crazy. Because if you look at literally all along, it's been France and the rest of the nations that mark their territory there that have been benefiting from every single penny that Burkina Faso literally digs the gold from. But along that, I have also another video I want to share from Julius Nyerere, where he talked about actually socialism. And then it reminds me of the video I was sharing on Monday, which was talking about this lady actually breaking it down, how without socialism, there's no democracy. And this is why we have people, these puppets, they fear socialism so much. And also the big elites, they fear socialism so much. And this is why they want to keep us in control of this fake democracy. But of course, along that also, generally, I want to talk about, of course, the scam and looking at how the system, of course, it was set up by the rich to keep the poor begging. It's how the IMF was designed. I know we've been discussing about this, but it's crazy that we see countries, literally the whole of the African continent, apart from the Alliance Sahel state. Last year, we had African leaders meeting up in Kenya, and one of course, our leaders, which is William Ruto, came out talking about how we need funds to allocate us in different sectors or to help us in different sectors of development, which we've not seen so far. Since the IMF and the World Bank was created and they paved their way into the African continent, there's no development or any developing nations you can count under their scheme or money scheme. But that is our top conversation for the day. Karibuni sana, and I hope you keep the conversations engaging. Karibu sana, Keith. How are you doing today?
Asante Sana, Joby. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Make it home okay?
Yes, I did. I did. It was too lazy to cook. Just knocked myself out. Tried to even watch something. I tried to finish the episode of Lost in Space. I was knocked out, and I was like, I was still just felt like I was still exhausted. I don't know
you,
why. I'm
you,
like,
you
I have
you was lost in sleep.
man. That's the stuff. I was still lost in sleep. But Karibuni sana once again. We shall be starting, of course, with what is happening in the Alliance Sahel state, with Mali confirming that the armed forces say that they have killed 80 militants after the series of attack on military posts. So let me share this literally. And as we look at the article, which is talking about the bloody gold, they're calling it the bloody gold. The only people who have been making this nation actually shed blood is the people who have been marking territories in these mining areas. We're talking about France, which right now, of course,
Of
is
course.
drastically losing their businesses are shutting down slowly. Their economy is also slowing down because there's no much resources that is being extracted in Burkina Faso or generally the Alliance Sahel state as they used to. And also we've seen with them
But they still got, they still got the other boot countries in Africa. You still got, France still has Benin. They still have Togo. They have Sierra Leone. They
yeah, they're
have
fighting.
Senegal. They have Gabon. They have
Mhm,
Cameroon.
mhm. But
And they
we
have
witness
go ahead, Joby.
we're witnessing these countries still fighting back, trying their best ways to join the Alliance Sahel states like Togo. We have
Well,
which
you know,
countries are
Togo's not
um,
trying to join. Togo, the people are trying to overthrow their leader finally. Have you looked, see
yeah,
that? You haven't seen it in the news. Look up Togo. They've been in the streets. They said, we want you out. You've been here
I
50
did
years. Oh, did you
mhm,
look at it? Yeah, we you said you've been
I
here.
reported on
You
that.
and your father have been here over 50 years since
Mhm,
1967. And the country has nothing but misery. We're impoverished. You people have been in power over 50 plus years, damn near 60. And the country's had nothing but poverty. Nothing but,
exactly.
because all that money goes to France, Joe.
Mhm,
All these European countries, Joe, are phony. They're fake. They don't exist. Without Africa, they don't exist.
Exactly. I don't know. Let me start. I think I'm gonna share this video of this lady first, before even getting to Mali. Since you're talking about literally democracy, which I do believe right now several West African countries are fighting. Togo, Chad. We've seen. I can't talk about Benin. Being honest, we had the president who wore the military attire. Trying to
Over in Botswana. They're trying to shake off right. So Africa's been pillaged for since you met these people. They've been allowed to come in Africa 500 years ago. It's been pillaged. Before that, remember, Africa was always, you had your Mansa Musa, all your empires. Africa was wealthy. When you met these people, your loving, your kind nature brought them in. They knocked you over the head, put half your people in slavery, and stole all your land and your resources. And then
period.
they wrote, and then they wrote some fake history about them bringing you civilization, all this other nonsense, some fake nonsense
Honestly,
history.
I did share this video, I think on Monday again, or I think probably yesterday on my show. I think on Monday I did share this video. But again, if something is so relative to the conversation, I don't mind ever going back to that video over and
Of
over
course,
again.
you
So
always
she
go
was
back and use something that's relative to what you're saying. Yeah,
she was talking about how democracy is so fake and how it has been set up and how it literally works.
yeah,
And listen
it's
to also
fake.
what Julius Nyerere is talking about, about socialism. So listen to her.
There is no democratic president in the world. I
No,
say truly, who is the democratic president? Trump? Obama? Who is here in Britain? We should be clear. Democracy is an illusion. We cannot have
it's fake.
democracy in a capitalist, imperialist, patriarchal system, religious system.
Duh.
Why not?
Because this is, they want money.
Why not?
Because if you remove religion and capitalism and imperialism, then you will have socialism. And then no government will be there, They are afraid of the real power of the people.
Exactly.
You cannot
Exactly.
have democracy. Because what is democracy? Democracy is real freedom. There is no democracy.
Exactly. And I love the fact she questioned was what is democracy? And I think we're discussing this on Friday on one of the shows. I was saying people need to start questioning what is democracy, because if we really can't participate, what we do is practice democracy. But every time we practice democracy, it's no longer democracy.
You met with tear gas. You met with tear gas. You met with rubber bullets and real bullets, Joby. You're right.
We need
That's
to
the
go back to
illusion.
the drawing board. We need to go back to the drawing board and question who defined democracy. What is democracy?
They have exactly, Joby. Exactly.
And who does it serve? Who is it supposed to be, serving? If I'm practicing democracy, it should be serving me. Why is it always
Of course.
serving the president and these leaders calling the shots on, hey, these people are calling, they're causing atrocities in their countries. This is a state of emergency. There's a coup d'etat about to happen. That is brutal. Remember? It's crazy. So we go back
because
and ask,
exactly. But you got to get the thing about Africa. You got to get, see, like we were talking about yesterday. You're in a level of sophistication and education and knowledge that most Africans just don't have. Until they get to your standards, Joby, they're gonna always be easily manipulated in the tribal battles and he's from my tribe, my neighborhood, and all this nonsense. That's undemocratic right there. So they're gonna use that. So that's why when a leader comes out and tries to stop that, like a Magufuli, even Torre, they're gonna try to murder him because their fake system is designed for them. Not for us.
So let me share Julius Nyerere also talking about this.
We asked if Black Americans would be welcome in Tanzania as advisors.
Well, let me say, one of the biggest bottlenecks for development, for modernization, any of the countries of the third world, is lack of manpower. I've already explained to you this problem of manpower. It's not merely techniques that we want. We want techniques and attitudes. We want a person who is going to help. If he's an economist, we want his techniques as an economist. But he'll be much better for us if he also understands and accepts what we're trying to do. So, and we lack these people, and we recruit them from all over the world. Now, why shouldn't we get Afro Americans? If we are recruiting these people from all over the world, why shouldn't we get Afro Americans who have the skills, whether they are economists or technicians of any kind, whether teachers or accountants or all of these skills?
That's why he threw his ass out of power.
Why shouldn't you put the skills to us, provided also that you also have some sympathy with what we are trying to do? Because if you don't have sympathy for what we are trying to do, and you say, oh, these fellows say they want to be socialists, you know, and we don't believe in socialism, it's better not to come. If you say, well, I'm a capitalist and I want somewhere to invest money, I say, look, we do allow some capitalism here, but here we have really announced a war against capitalism. So really, if we do allow capitalism.
And see, now Joby's at the heart of real shit, right? I think Joby put up a nest egg. This is why Jomo Kenyatta never united with Julius Nyerere, because Jomo was corrupt as fuck and they had him in capitalism. And Julius said, no, we need socialism to lift up all Africans right now because we've been kept in poverty and ignorance. Only through socialism can we lift each other up. And Jomo, of course, being controlled by the British, said, nah, you never allow that. We'll get rid of your ass. Understand that? You're not strong enough like Julius Nyerere in his country to sustain what we'll do to you. We'll get rid of you. And you'll be back in poverty, and your library be gone, and your white woman that you married be gone too. Okay.
Exactly. That's what you mentioned at the beginning. We lack manpower, you know, and it's just the truth. Because if you look at literally even the leaders we have, it's just, if I'm understanding it very well, it's just the way you respond to things. Because from the beginning, literally Tanzania has had the best leadership, and it's him being the beginning of the best leadership.
But not the same no more. But not no, so they finally threw his ass out of office. The British finally got in there in '85 and threw him out, Joby. So you've had puppets in Tanzania until you had Magufuli. Now you got another puppet back in there, right? Because you know that stuff he's talking. Samir Suluhu don't want to hear none of that shit. She's not celebrating his ass, the first president of Tanzania. She's completely. You know, the British say, hey, you throw his ass in the dustbin of history, Joe, but you keep his name out your mouth. Exactly.
We do allow some private enterprise here, but this is not really the way to identify yourself with the future of Tanzania, because you identify yourself with something that you're fighting
against. If democracy works, why is China not a democracy? China's not a democracy. It's a socialism. And it's not democracy. And how's China now the leading power on the planet? They don't practice democracy in China, Joby. It's socialism. Everything is free.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
And that's what I'm saying. Literally understanding the words, the terms Julius Nyerere is using, and that lady. It's why we need to go back and again question these terms we keep on using. What is democracy? And if you look at literally how socialism is working, if we applied it, how it would also be working, because democracy is not being applied.
They don't want that, Joe, because the democracy allows people to steal shit, and you only have a few rich and everybody's poor. That's the scam. Oh, you're free. You're free to be poor, Joe, being a democracy.
Exactly, because it's not even a matter of Africa at this point. We're looking at the global scale. Democracy now is not being applied, because even China itself, it's not literally obeying the democratic rules and laws.
It's not a democracy, Joby. China never said China's not a democracy.
No, I'm saying, in your country, yes, you have socialism, but if you go to other countries, they do have democracy, and there's laws set up. But these people are paving their ways in markets, in literally every corner of market, and they're taking it. So is democracy being obeyed, or is democracy really applying in this country where people can just come and do things how they want?
No, it's a scam.
Where socialism is being applied, actually, I can't go do that. I can't go to China and, decide today I want to buy this land.
Nope.
I just need to
can't.
Jinping and the rest of the,
can't. China put a bullet. China find you bribing somebody, they put a bullet in your head. So there's no. I get some chai. I do this. No, you get a chai with bullets in it. So you get a child with bullets in it. So um, China's not a fair place, but it's more fair for people because of the living standard. China raises everybody out of poverty. That's what China's trying to do. Even though the people that got control of it are still the same people. Because at the end of the day, they're gonna try once they get America out the way, they're gonna start ripping China off again too. So they need to lift China into a certain amount of wealth so people fall asleep. Same way they did America. Then they're gonna start stealing everything out of the country until they hollow it out. Same way they did America. So these systems, like saying, it's very important. Educate. That's why Julius Nyerere had all these books. That man's very brilliant. But it's very important to educate the African, and it's very important for other people who want to steal from Africa to keep them very ignorant. Africa, sadly, right now is a continent full of just ignorance, over religiosity, and just straight ignorance. There's not many Jobies running around Africa, sadly enough. That's just a fact. And so that's how they keep control of a people in the continent. But there are enough Jobies that are now in the streets and are smart enough to say, hey, this doesn't work. This is fake. That's what they're scared about. How can I put the genie back in the bottle? And Kenya has been the Kenya and Bikini Faso have been the cork that's popping. I don't think they're going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle as much as they try, because there's an awakening. It is not. You're not going to be able to keep stealing from African people. Now they know that they're supposed to be rich. You can't keep people that live on the richest continent. They did never know that. They run into Europe and America and say, hey, you live on the richest continent. Do you actually know that? Do you know where the reason why Europe looks like that, America looks like that, because people have been stealing out of your house. Do you understand that? And they got bases there, and they try to put terrorist groups and kill people to keep it that way. Go ahead, Joe.
It's no good.
Yeah, so that's literally the end of that particular video. But going back to what is happening in Mali, let me share that, of course, very quickly. The mainstream media is doing its best to just, give negative information about what is happening in the Sahel state. But we have the armed forces saying that they killed 80 Al-Qaeda linked militants following a series of simultaneous.
I don't even like calling it the mainstream media. It's the puppet media controlled by the people that want to keep you impoverished. That's all it is. It's all propaganda. It's the puppet media. The mainstream media is actually us.
They have killed 80 Al-Qaeda-linked militants following a series of simultaneous and coordinated attacks on military posts in central and western parts of the country. Officials say the attacks took place in 7 towns and cities near the border with Senegal and further north, close to the frontier with Mauritania. The jihadist JNIM group claimed responsibility for the attacks and said it had taken control of 3 army barracks. Mali has been fighting insurgent groups linked to the so-called Islamic State and to Al-Qaeda for more than a decade. It's also been contending with a longer history of Tuareg-led rebellions in the north.
Yeah, we just understanding they are working tirelessly to use the near borders to literally get these so-called jihadists, Al-Qaedas in the
Of course. Now remember, Al-Qaeda started in Afghanistan. People don't see, how did Al-Qaeda get from Afghanistan all the way over to Africa? Afghanistan's over by Pakistan and India. How did it get all the way? And we know they got Al-Qaeda leader now in Syria as the president. How's that possible? He's now the president because they are funded by all these capitalists that Joby's talking about, this democracy. These democracy people are the ones funding all this terrorism throughout Africa because of the resources in those countries. Okay, because the question is, where are these terrorists getting money to be terrorists at? They got to feed people. They got to put clothes. They got motorbikes and weapons. How are they paying for the weapons? How are they paying for the food? How are they paying for the housing? And they have no businesses or no jobs. Huh?
True. poor country. In a poor country. It's crazy. Add in a poor country because that's
Yeah,
what.
in a poor country, exactly. In a poor country, how's that? And then all of a sudden, when Mozambique finds oil and gas and other things and minerals, oh, it's Al Shabaab down in Mozambique. How did they get all the way from Somalia through Kenya down through Tanzania all the way in Mozambique? And these are just magical things that happen. Go ahead, go ahead.
Crazy. But still on the Alliance Sahel state, we have an article here talking about, of course, the gold. They're saying it's been a good year for gold, sorry. A host of turbulent events in the global economy has driven up prices for the glitter commodity to record highs in 2025. In a world of tariffs and international conflicts, gold appeals to
who's got the gold, Joby? Who's got the gold, Joby? No, I'm saying, but where is gold actually at, though? Where is it actually at? It's in Africa. But and the whole thing about Africans not being allowed to control their own gold, and since gold is what control of real economies and real money on the planet. Like I said, should never be any poor African. The gold is in your ground from Kenya, Mali, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Africa, Congo. You have the gold. That's why you have terrorists. And that's ain't it funny. And then once again, like Joby said, the gold. But a great year for gold. How does Dubai, that has no gold mines, none, zero, is the number one place to buy gold, and now their city is big and everybody wants to run to Dubai because Dubai has been stealing out of Africa, and you have not put a bullet in these fake Arabs' heads. That's why. You understand this? You have no friends except an African. You better get that through your head, Africans. Dubai looks like it does because they've been stealing from you, and you run around in dirt and poverty. I can't eat nothing because people have been stealing from African people. And they've done it because they say you're weak. Okay? So Dubai wouldn't look like Dubai without Africa. So don't ever curse Africa. Dubai is Dubai because of Africa. Go ahead, Joe. Then why is it? And then why is there no terrorism in Dubai? Why is that?
Exactly, good question. And it's even more worse because they are even marking more territories by stealing lands. In
of
Africa.
Course.
I read what is happening in Kenya. How much percentage of land literally the UAE has acquired?
Well, exactly. Well, if I'm in Dubai, Joe, where they can't grow, they're in a desert. They can't grow any fruits. Africa's green. I'm gonna steal your gold, buy your land with your gold that I stole from, and I'm gonna cordon off certain parts of your country so I can feed my own people with your land while you sit there still starving in your own country.
It's crazy. I always think so deep. You think about it, you just need to. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm really, you're not supposed to be really calm about the situation, but now understanding where our issue comes from and how deep I'd say the trauma was passed for us to accept all this.
Of course.
This is literally traumatizing. Yes. Like we're talking about children being stolen, being forced to learn what has never even existed. So you literally end up losing your culture, which we've discussed, traditions, because we've been talking about traditional ways of smelting gold, silver, iron. We had all these capabilities. We didn't even have this, big companies or whatever, people coming to help us. No finances.
How could they help you? How could they help you, Joe? But when you were the people that taught everybody, what did you need help from anybody? You were the ones teaching everybody. Help from what?
It's the saddest part, but again, you look at it, you're like, this history is so deep. Sit down, think about it, where it's literally all the way rooted from. Sometimes you're going to be lenient with yourself as an African. You're like, man, I need to be easy on myself for not knowing so much at an early age because...
Of course, because the system is set up to make sure you didn't know. They came in and gave you fake history. Exactly. Of course, Joby. You can't blame yourself for being born in a system that was already stolen from you by the colonizers coming and giving you fake history and the puppets never changing it. It's 2025. The only person you got now this changing it is Ibram Traore. Said this fake History's got to go. This is 2025. You put
That's
it,
crazy.
you've also got independence back in the 60s. Why would you change the curriculum of teaching? And then also understand this. See, this is what you see in South Africa. I wanted to say this yesterday. I didn't get a chance to say it. Let me say it now. Imagine why you got the South Africans so angry and hatred towards other Africans. So I want you to understand this. They came in and gave you an indoctrination of self-hate. So when you hate yourself, when you see other Africans, you don't see them as brothers. You hate them because you have self-hate. You have the animism towards yourself, the enemy. So when you see other Africans, it's just a projection of what you feel inside about you. You don't feel any worth, any self-respect for you. So you hate you don't hate the other races because he wasn't good, because you put them on pedestals. You've been told to worship Asians and Europeans. And so when you see another African, since you hate yourself, you treat other Africans like shit. And that's another factor that you gotta. That's why you should have been change your educational system and learn to love African people and treat and taking yourself and the accomplishments of African people. Without African people, there's no civilization on the planet. There's no languages, there's no math, there's no science. You can't create math again, can't create science again. All these disciplines come from you. And since you don't know that now, you're caught in self-hate. The white man, how great is the white man, the Asian man? How great are you? But you haven't been taught this. And that's a dangerous place to be. And that's why you see all the self-hate. But you always say, I got to turn this off. Because those people have self-hate within themselves. They hate themselves. So they project that self-hate to other people that look like them.
All right.
That's what you see. Go ahead, Joby.
Understood better that if children were taught African history from the word go, they perform better. Because number one,
of course.
So if you literally, the fact you're born intelligent, then instill the right knowledge, this develops you more confidence, more self-love, no matter what.
Imagine if you were taught this, Joby, everything you know now when you were like 5 and 6 and 7. Imagine that.
I still believe I was different, man. I don't care.
I do. I believe you was a fighter. I believe that. I do believe you were a fighter. I will believe. I will agree with that. I will say you were a fighter without a doubt. You didn't go along just to get along. So you did go against the grain. So you weren't easily propagandized too. So I do give you that. That's true.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
true.
So, I don't know. I don't want to say it comes from, because my parents didn't think, I never had any of this history we talk about from any of them. None of them. So probably could be
That come from your past lives and your soul.
All that. So again, probably critical thinking. I still apply that very hard. Critical thinking applies so much. Common sense. If you want to make it, maybe call it common sense. If critical thinking sounds common sense, question some things to say that they're not really okay.
But you can't get the critical thinking until you get the common sense under your belt.
Well, I've had common sense since I was born then. But anyway,
there you go. Shout out to you, Joby.
You need critical thinking in this kind of a world, especially someone like me.
You do, but Joby, you haven't. But exactly, you're right. But the educational systems are designed, especially in Africa, not to give you critical thinking on purpose. So where did yours come from? Because you didn't get it from school, because it's not in any school.
I feel it's been, I don't want to say neglected sounds bad, but it's literally what it was, being neglected to the world at a very young age. Because I'm talking about literally living with the relatives who are treating me as shit. I've had uncles me, I've had relatives just treating me shitty and all that. So I feel like being just
that still doesn't give you critical thinking. That still doesn't give you critical thinking skills, Joby.
Because number one, you understand how to be humane with people. That is just number one. Because you're like, why is this person treating me so shitty? Those are the type of the things I'm questioning. Like, why would you treat me so bad? Like, I'm just a child. What wrong did I do? What you're here to do is just guide me. Yes, I'll make mistakes
True.
sometimes. I'm a child. I'll keep on repeating the
Of
same
course.
mistakes. Sometimes I'll need probably, to be disciplined, but there's a certain type of way of discipline children, and that's why I say sometimes I'm glad through my experience I learned how to treat my brother. Immediately our mom passed on because he was very young, and then putting him with relatives, people are telling him,
That's
oh,
good.
you need to do this, and I'm like, no, beating him is gonna make him more scared of me to even open up about what you're doing to him. So I'm not gonna beat him. I'm gonna
Exactly.
talk, and he's gonna understand what's right and what is wrong. So I feel like literally just living
Exactly. He's a
with
good
him.
kid. Now imagine he's a good kid. He's not a criminal, and you didn't have to beat him, Joe. See, all that beating shit is more. You got that from the Europeans. Africans didn't
Mhm.
beat their children, and now they tell you if you don't beat your child, you're not African. Listen, that brutality came from them, moron. You're not.
See, 'cause I was
We're
thinking
not a. We're not a brutal people. Go ahead,
I was
Joby.
thinking about that today about what we're discussing. Just what we were discussing yesterday, you and I, and then I went to think about it. I'm like thinking about it. I ever had my dad tell me, if you want a soft parent, go to the white people, And then now looking at it, I'm like, wow, white people don't beat their children, And at some point I used to.
Now they don't because the contact they came in with because they came in with Africans, Joby.
Mhm.
They they are brutal people. So the idea that they used to beat their people, but as they evolved and became what more civilized, they understand that that wasn't the way to do it. They got that from African people. That
That
we
is
so since we got dominated by savages, we now practice this savage behavior. You're talking about soft. Doesn't make any sense. You want a soft parent? No, you teach your children through experience. You don't have to beat your child to teach them.
true, true. But
That's
I
the,
remember,
that
I
means
remember
that means you only beat your children, Joby, because you're a moron and you don't have
right.
the tools. You don't have the tools, the knowledge to try to train them in the right way. You think you beating them is supposedly correction. It's not.
I remember
But go
that
ahead.
statement, and then I was just like, it's crazy that, if this is how African people we've been reasoning for so long, not understanding that we were never actually even violent to each other.
No,
Parents
we're
were
not a violent people.
raising children is just super, super insane. But anyway, as I continue this article, they're talking about literally how the Alliance Sahel state has taken control of their gold mining areas. And this is, of course, for the government of West Africa Sahel region. And they're saying that the stakes are even higher. Gold is a lifeline for the military juntas of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, who are plagued by jihadist insurgencies, religion, isolation, and the ravages of climate change. See the bullshit they're having? They're also
Yeah, I was the
saying,
climate. I always got to put the fake climate change thing in it, Joe. Because
so go ahead and put the claims that what, of course, we had the general saying the other time. Because gold prices have been put at a historic high, the military governments are hoping that will benefit and be able to they are hoping they'll be able to benefit directly. And that is exactly what we had General Langley, whatever, saying about this
lose their
alliance.
gold.
That this is they are doing this for their own selfish reasons. It's totally different. Burkina Faso is literally turning, it's developing. You can see the change. Videos are circulating.
Exactly. He knows. Listen, he's a bootlick that's alive, and it's their
Mhm,
goal. What's it got to do with you? Because they know why he's there. Because he's there to make their goal his goal.
mhm.
To make it the European people's goal. That's who controls it for all these years. Can you imagine? The gold comes out of Africa, but they had no reserve. You go to France, they got big old boat of gold. You go to Britain, all the gold. Ain't no gold mines in Britain. Ain't no gold mines in goddamn France. But all the gold, all the reserves are in over there. And so you had the Kenny Pop said, we're going to start making a gold reserve. Then we're going, once we get enough gold, we're going to make a gold backed currency. See, that'll destroy the dollar because the dollar is based on nothing. It's fake. And all
Yeah.
other currencies on the planet are what? Are fake.
So literally, as we talk about the gold, and we know, I feel like, of course, one of the ways they have also been not literally I feel, which is actually fact. They've been having control of most of the mineral areas or minerals
Of course.
the loans we've taken. And I think, I don't
Yes.
know if African leaders understood what they were getting themselves into by signing into
I
the
don't think that's a good way. I'm glad you understand that. I'm glad you understand, Joe. In the beginning, no, because remember, these guys are poor and stupid. When you first in 1960, they're bad, they're poorly educated. Maybe except for a person like a Aneta or a Kwame Nkrumah coming out of Ghana who's really educated. But most of these leaders in Africa were pretty stupid, except for like a Lumumba. But the majority were dumb, Joe. Majority, because they put them in power and they gave them. Remember, that's why all your systems are based on European democracy. They didn't even create their own. See, if you come in and create your own country, Joe, you're going to create your own government. None of these morons created their own governmental systems because they didn't know how to do it. So you're right. So they didn't understand the loan and the thing because they were being manipulated because the white people said, well, the white people said, well, we can't really fight them now. They know how to fight us again. We can't really dominate them, but they're stupid. So we can dominate their ass and tell them they don't understand loans, or we just tell them any old kind of shit. They'll sign these bad deals, not understanding that we're still got control of their country and we're still robbing their stupid ass. And we're gonna say, in order for you to say you don't really know how to set up an educational system, so let's keep the same British and French systems for your children. Keep that still going because you don't know shit. You don't know how to really read and write and how to set up a educational system. So just keep the one we got.
exactly. So
So
this I was
there goes
listening
Joby.
to in the morning. I don't know if I can find it. Tell
Take
see
your
if I
time.
can. There's a lady who was asking, I think the white people, it was I think a board meeting, I don't know about what, I was listening to it through someone, and then it was questioning, the lady was questioning what is the difference between the African loans and the American loans. So I'm going to share that, but before I share that, I
Okay.
want to read article on the screen, of course, trying to understand if these leaders got clearly what they were assigning themselves into, because looking into the African mindset of the indoctrinated African mindset, and then we're talking about leaders who are not well educated.
Yeah.
They don't understand the economy. They didn't understand even colonization itself, the effect it came with, and that's being given the fake independency because these people never left. They took control of different various sectors of the country. They still own them.
Exactly, Joby.
Went deeper now, even assigning ourselves into now a trap, which is through their own money scheme that
Yeah.
has zero value, but we give it things that are very valuable, which is so crazy because we're supposed to be benefiting more from them, not us benefiting from them through zero and money that does not even
Exactly.
help us. So literally, here we are breaking it down how the IMF and the World Bank became invisible empires that rule the world because literally we don't know, and the rest of the say majority of the people don't know the people behind these organizations. We just see it's people with the way they have lied to us. They have good intentions. They're here to help you, just accept the help because you
Exactly.
need accept the help because you need it, and they're telling you you need it after it's them causing Hegelian dialectics actions in your country.
Exactly.
So after
Joby, why you look, Joby? Okay, if they were there to help you, okay, within 10 years they could have helped you because look, since all the resources in Africa, you said, okay, we need to teach the Africa how to mine his own minerals and own them. Then by 1970, everybody in Africa would have been wealthy. So we know that's a lie.
Mhm.
We know that's a lie. so so that fake narrative they came to help, we know that's a lie because
It's a lie.
because all the minerals have gone to benefit Europe and America and now the Asians.
Exactly, and there are people. They're talking about
Exactly.
the setup of the IMF and the World Bank is that there's no borders, there's no armies, yet they control presidents, rewrite laws, and own your
Yep.
future. Okay,
Yep.
you thought they help economies, but here's what they really do behind the closed doors. So that is literally the setup. We're talking about also the silent weapons of global power, which is what they are. They don't invade nations, they offer help. And all this help comes in form of emergency loans, infrastructure fundings, debt reliefs. This is what, of course, we've seen most of the countries doing. Shout out to Ghana. Ghana had a bigger debt and then went ahead and took another loan to relieve themselves on debt. Just make that shit make sense to yourself. Like,
it doesn't, Joe, but because it's not there to help you. It's a debt trap. And then it's funny, and the Chinese learn from that. What the Chinese are now doing, debt traps. The debt traps. So because the fake money is less worthy of your actual resources. So it keeps you where they got access to your resources and they get really wealthy, and you get fake money and got to pay back high interest rates, and it never develops anything. It keeps you impoverished. It's a scam, and that's why they made it. The reason why they made it, the reason why they made the World Bank and the IMF, they said, how come we can't really fight Africans now because there's just too many. We don't have the numbers, but we can set up a fake banking scam, and that's what it was set up for. And that's the fact.
I do understand through emergency loans where we have, of course, there are pandemics, which is them who they come up with these pandemics. Then they tell African nations, you need
exactly
the ecxpand is. So we, as the UN, the US, and the rest of the nations, we're gonna come help these African nations because they can't help themselves. So we're gonna give emergency loans because they never tell you. It's crazy because they never gazette it every time they're giving us this VSCCINEs, that this is coming in form of a loan and you're paying back with interest. It's crazy. But they also continue and say, behind every loan is a contract of control, which is, of course, we know what that's what they're doing. They're also talking about the loop that never ends, which is the debt trap. The step-by-step blueprint, which one of them is country faces crisis. Second one is that the IMF and the World Bank saves them with billions of dollar loans. The third one is that the loan comes with conditions. Of course, when you're talking about infrastructure fundings, when you talk about emergency loans, even the debt relief itself, you can't just use this money how you want. It's not supposed to go.
No, not the people. Also, you got to put up there. You got to put in their culture. You got to put in home LGBTQ stuff. You got to make sure you got to say, hey, you're not allowed to change the educational system in your country. It's all that stuff. So it's all wicked, Joe.
Conditions. They're also saying conditions that destroy the local control, and
exactly.
Loans required to fix the damage. You need more loans because after you start this trap, once you get yourself in this trap, you need more money. This is through their own scheme to come to the trap. The goal is literally permanent dependency on them, not temporary. They're not here to
exactly, Joe.
Permanent. They're here to stay. What is their favorite demands? Well, literally their hidden agenda in the contracts. They're talking about in exchange for aid, they demand cut subsidies for the poor. We see this a lot in most of the African countries. Subsidies cut, especially when you talk about oil. They're talking about sell state-owned assets. We've seen this in Kenya.
Exactly. The real wealth, Joe. Not the fake loan. We want your assets, Joe.
Crazy. You're giving up your own country. They're also talking about where you allow foreign corporations to take over. Come on, we're seeing the rise of the Chinese in Africa. That is very questionable why it is happening and very answerable at the same time. And that but not least, the fourth one but not the least one, they're talking about prioritize debt repayment over social welfare. So you're gonna, not only are you trapped in this scheme of debt relief, infrastructure funding, emergency loans or saving, you prioritize paying their debt. It's crazy. Your priority, you should be always paying back this debt. How are you going to pay us back? And they're going to put the pressure on you, especially if you're not obeying or going or abiding by the conditions they told you to. So you have to go back to the conditions, work according to the conditions. You're going to be given more debt relief, but understand your priority is to repay this debt, which goes back with a big interest. And they're talking about this is not aid, this is economic surrender.
Remember, Joey, that's what the tax bill was about that the Kenyans were fighting about. That had to do with the people Passed it. That was the IMF bill.
Mhm. The question is who profits?
Go ahead,
And
Joe.
of course, not the citizens. Who profits from this? They're talking about after the IMF and the World Bank enters, we have corporations which buy public assets at a discount. We have the Western companies who exploit new markets, which of course we see it every single time. We also have local elites who get richer. We're talking about now your presidents, okay, your puppets, they are getting richer. Leave alone now the real resources getting out of the
Oh,
country.
see,
This loans is going
see,
back
Joe,
to
we
them.
knows too much. Exactly, Joe. Exactly.
We have
Exactly.
common people who
You
face
know too
of
much now. You're dangerous. So, Joby, you imagine we gave you a license and you were saying this. Somebody's coming to see you, Joby.
exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah, to Vicky. He was not understanding. What do you mean I need to get a license, man? I'm not there. I don't want to be seen like I do work for the media. That is enough. I don't need to go there to be seen on the mainstream or the other cameras so people can know Joby works. I'm good right here. So if you dare me go question,
Wherever
understand
you talking, wherever you saying this, Joby, somebody's coming to see you. Somebody's
exactly.
coming to see
Because
you.
I told if I'm going as Black Hot Fire, I'm going as Black Hot Fire, not as Joby there. I'm going for the media I'm presenting. So I need to pull the questions my audience would love to ask the president. And I'm going to ask the real question as Black Hot Fire because that's what people will literally question. So ensure they're going to come find me. They'll allow me because I was talking about, oh, there's legal protection. They tell you, no story is worth dying for and all that. So why am I a journalist if no story is worth dying for? Why am I bringing people, what truth am I bringing to the people? What is my literally what is my purpose in this career? What am I doing? Zero work of being a bootlicker? No, I don't want to do that. It's crazy, but people need to understand how deep this system is. But going back to who profits, we're talking about corporations, Western companies, local elites, and common people who face, of course, face the repercussions of everything. And this is where we have the rise of poverty, but the GDP looks good on the paper. That is what they tell you. They tell you because we also need to, if we really had good auditors, which we don't in the whole of the African continent, we know we have zero skilled or put up into this position auditors so that they won't give and bring facts to the people of us knowing how our GDP is actually performing. That is why we have rise of poverty and literally lack of answers when it comes to accountability. Talk about the real stories and the real victims. We have Argentina, who crashed under the decades of the IMF loan. Of course, history you need to go look up into. We have Jamaica. Come on, look at Jamaica today. Forced to cut education and health to pay debt. So you have to literally let go of the things that were benefiting your people even before you got into this trap. Now you're trapped. You're losing even everything that you
Yep.
could provide for your own people. It's crazy. We have Ghana. Shout out to Ghana. Shout out to Joe Mosquito. The currency crisis
Your
after
mosquito,
bonds.
your mosquito ain't been back to Ghana like in 15 years. Was no good, but
It's great. You need to go send your people and talk to Nana Kofuado or now we have uh John, who's there.
John
So
Muhammad,
Muhammad.
Muhammad. Yeah,
But
at least I can pronounce his name. I ain't gotta be saying Kofi Dada Doodoo no more.
yeah, but we're still Ghana, which the currency did was saved through the debt relief, which we saw happening last year but one, and this led to the global South nations which aren't developing, and they are being harvested. Not only are they not developing, extraction of resources is very active. They also question who really owns the IMF and the World Bank. Not the world, not the poor. They are
Is
controlled
that
by have the
is
US, which in
you?
brackets,
No.
mhm,
You know who controls the U.S. The
we
cats
know.
with the hats.
So they're talking
So you
about the
know,
US,
so, so
which
you know controls. You know controls the IMF and the Bank. The cats
mhm,
with the hats.
true. And that the US with the majority voting in power, that is what the US literally it is in control or part of control in this. We have the G7 nations, if you know them. We have the global banking elites. If you literally go back and track, you know who we're talking about, who Keith just mentioned. And this has led to the system being designed by the rich to keep the rest and the poor begging. Why media calls it aid? literally, because you know the media calls this aid every single time. They never tell us
Because
the truth about this.
because who owns the media? They
Same
do.
people own the IMF, right?
Exactly.
They're saying because the real words sound criminal. Of course, if you tell people the truth, this is a crime, and we need to take actions against crime. They're talking about how we have structural adjustment, which is equal to resource extraction. That is why the media calls it aid. We have stabilization. That is what the media calls it. When you talk about debt relief and all that, infrastructural development or funding, stabilization of your country, which is equals to forced poverty. All right. We also have liberalization. They call it liberalization, which is equal to cooperation, colonization. We've been seeing this. This cooperation terms is not cooperation. We've been colonized. And the language is used to hide the chains and how deep it flows. They're also talking about how this is how these empires look now. They don't fly flags, they don't raise armies, they sit in the skyscrapers, they wear suits, and they rewrite your future and Excel sheets. Welcome to colonialism number two, literally, because the first one already happened. So you're getting in the second one. The final slide talks about the truth, which they'll never tell you. The World Bank and the IMF were never about to help. They were designed to seize resources, collapse independency, which is also very fake still, profit from the poverty, and of which they excel so much in that. They've used poverty as one of the way to use this aid scheme in different ways and angles as they fund wars. It's crazy. Weapons in Africa. And the fourth one, which is the last one, talks about which is to replace freedom with financial rule. And we've seen it. This is why if you try practice democracy one call away, you owe us money. Control those people. You know, you owe us a lot. You better keep those people under control. There's no time to practice democracy. We have things to do. There's work to be done. Calm the situation down. They're also talking about, and the worst part is that they'll still be called heroes in your time.
Exactly, Joby. These people control. That's why, Joby, they use live bullets when you're out there protesting because you're effing with their money. See, see, now, imagine all the Kenyans knew what you just know right now. You're talking about a revolution. You overthrow the government, Joe, because it doesn't represent you. It doesn't work for you. It works for
Yep.
these banks and the stealing of the wealth of the people, Joe.
Mhm. It is a whole planned game. And that's why I was disagreeing with Dr. Arikana saying the game is new just because you have a new president doesn't mean the game is new. The system has been designed the
Game
same.
is game is not new. It's just Joby. It's not as sophisticated as you. See, because she's older than you, but she doesn't know more than you. Don't think because she's older and been an ambassador that she knows more than she's been trained. She's actually been trained to be a bootlick,
Hmm.
but
Exactly.
she's
Um,
but she's waking up. But go ahead.
awards lately have not been making sense. Well, so yeah, I'm saying so long as just because you have a new leader doesn't mean the game is the same. We need to understand the game has been running the same way for a long time. It is up to us, the majority, to
Yep,
understand how the game has been running because we have people who are in control of this game. They understand it very well. It's like we're playing chess here. So we have people who have
exactly.
understanding chess for so long, but you're new trying to learn how chess works. You don't even know how to, you don't know nothing about, you don't even know the rules, leave alone even understanding the game itself.
But there you go. See that? But you just laid it out so precisely, so understandable, Joe. See, so that's why they're trying to kill even Torre and the cell state. They're gone outside the game, and it's dangerous because it'll be a domino effect. Because the main game is Africa, Joe. Without Africa, there's no ruling of this planet without this continent with all these resources. So that's why they must try to kill him and stop the Sahel state at all costs. Now you understand it.
We need to understand that also as the majority because we've been
Yep.
lied to. I love that article and I was reading it during the weekend, how it broke down so much and looking at now the wider perspective thinking of our people and how the media, of course, is being used to lie to us. because I remember when Ghanaians were demonstrating about their economy. Just I think this was last year, but one late towards the 2023, and Ghana was stuck in crisis. There was literally they were going in high inflation at that particular time, and then the World Bank comes and says, "We're the heroes. We're gonna give you." I think they were given $300 billion, if I can remember, to save you and help. And they were celebrating after this. Ghanaians were celebrating. I'm like, what are you stupid?
Because they don't know. They're not stupid, Joe, but they're ignorant. They don't know what you know. They don't know. At the end, the economy's messed up because they took the loan. All their private industries are being now sold off to the cats with the hats and other white people to keep them impoverished, and they come back and do another loan. But now we'll give John Muhammad credit. He's paying off these debts. And remember, when Burkina Faso paid off all those debts, when he got in power, he took the gold, paid off all those debts, and went to World Bank. Come back, you need another. Come on back and get another loan. So I don't need no loan from you. For what? I don't need any loan. you need to get a loan. I don't need a loan. Why you? I don't need a loan. Why do I need a loan? I got the gold. You need a loan from us.
Exactly, and this is what they've been lied to, because we know currently, and they move. We know this understanding right now, and which again we go back to these leaders not understanding what they got themselves into. This organization, not only is it also a funded organization, let me say funded by the people who control it, of course, a funded organization that works under different agendas that can fund it. And I'm talking about like the agenda of climate change. Climate change
exactly.
And the World Bank is funded. So once you actually in the group of the IMF and the World Bank, there's no way you're gonna say no to the agendas that actually funding by the IMF and the World Bank. So look at this.
You get it. That's one of the agendas, Joby.
This was last year, I think, in Kenya. Of course, we had AFRICOM. I think AFRICOM was in Kenya. I'm not really sure, but we had one of the summits held in Kenya, and we had Ruto.
Yeah, that was like 2 years. That was in 2023.
And I think also last year we had another one.
Okay, last year. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. So we have the good week Ruto here talking about how these loans are going to be helping the nations develop. The same terms they have been using, the same terms the media uses. It's crazy because these people are so controlled even to every word they have to say.
You have to say.
This is great. But let me share this.
And that's why, Joby, that's why they put him in power, and he didn't go to The Hague for murdering people. He's their puppet. That's why with all the stuff he's doing right now, you heard no mainstream media from the West talking about Ruto's a dictator. He's got to go. He's unalived people. He's disappearing people. He's abducting people. But the West has said nothing because they're implementing what the IMF, stealing money. That's what it's about.
Let me share this.
Pledged the minimum amount suggested by the African leaders. It will be a new high after the last round of fundraising in 2021, which totaled $93 billion. IDA lending operates on a 3-year cycle, which is usually preceded by donors making their contributions at a global meeting.
Last year, we brought to global attention that African nations pay interest rates up to 5 times higher than typical World Bank IBRD rates. This year, the situation has worsened.
Are you paying more back?
Developing countries are now net contributors to the global economy, contrary to expectations of receiving net inflows. Projections, for example, for 2024 show a net outflow of $74 billion from IDA countries like Kenya and others to donor nations, while net financial transfers to developing countries have plummeted from $225 billion in 2024 to now a low of $51 billion in 2022. Those statistics are glaring by any measure.
Yeah.
If the donors pledge.
So that's what he had to say. But
see, that's how dangerous it is, because the devil know he's saying bullshit. So imagine if people in Kenya were getting educated on Joby's level at 5 and 6 and 7 years old. The system couldn't sustain itself; it'd be overthrown. Go ahead,
True.
Joby.
True. We have Liberia also, which 11 years ago, I pulled a video from 11 years ago, which we had some of the officials talking about how beneficial and the Agenda 2030 is going to help them through the IMF and the World Bank develop.
See,
Listen to
back and remember,
It is an
Agenda,
ambitious.
Agenda 2030, Joby, is deep pop.
Yep.
It's deep pop and control everything and completely psychopathic.
But that's they sold to Africa because understanding what is coming
Yeah.
from Nigeria and what I saw also on the media being promoted. Agenda 2030 was sold that Africa is going to develop, but there's no development. You look at this finance bill being passed, all these laws being literally changed. These are part of the Agenda 2030. Where now people question of privacy of your own data. That is Agenda 2030, and this is being put into law. You know, you have no freedom of speech. You can't
Exactly.
criticize the government. That is part of the agenda. How is that helping us literally become a better nation by 2030? We have
It's not,
4 years
not
to
democracy.
2030. So, so far, how better have we become since we started having this, conversation of Agenda 2030?
But,
How far
but,
development we have?
but you understand, Joe, it's not like we said, it's a scam. It's not supposed to be what you said. It's not supposed to help you get development. It's supposed to wipe you out, Joe.
But let me finish this video here.
Just target. In the case of Liberia, we too have set a 2030 goal of moving away from poverty
And that's why it's so
getting on a
dangerous with these
trajectory,
bootlegs.
to becoming a middle-income country. So we need to make sure that World Bank assistance and all donor assistance to fragile
My sister,
countries and
World Bank,
recipient countries
World Bank,
are effective.
sister. He's a moron. He's dangerous to African people. You're so ignorant. He's a moron. He's a danger. That's why you heard, shout to the youth understand. But even to Ray, we don't need no assistant. We got everything. We don't need nothing from these people.
Yeah, so that is literally what is happening, and you can see how African nations have kept themselves in a trap, a debt trap, a trap of also being controlled, a trap of not having
Exactly.
decisions what you do in your country. When if you talk about development, you have no say because you're being funded, and this is why it's so important every time we see anything developing or anything being launched in Africa in any sort of way, we need to go back and question who funded this. Because so far right now, we understand most of the African countries, or we should say all of them, apart from now the Alliance Sahel state, which is
All of them, Toby.
is working itself out of debt or disorganization. All African nations, we are trapped. We have no independency. We have no.
Of course.
We
That's
can't
why.
practice democracy.
That's why they're trying to kill the ones you just said. They got free. Ones who got free, Joby. They're trying to kill them.
We can't practice democracy because of these deals that these leaders signed, literally, and we don't know for how long they go. That is the crazy part. So they keep on renewing also the contract every single time.
Of course they keep renewing because that's why I put them in power, Joby. You just read. You just read, Joby. It keeps it going back to the West, the rich, and the few bootlicks that I put in power. So I keep them rich, Joby, while I rob the country blind.
Another fake narrative they have used is just always changing the puppets, lying to us, and then after the puppets are changed, the current regime, you hear them blaming the previous regime of how they took so much debt. The current regime also wants to take another debt to relieve itself from the previous regime's debt. What are you really talking about? How are we walking out of freedom from this? It's crazy. We can't.
I'm not, Joby. It's the scam. You just know the scam now.
You can't keep on living like this. When you are on death, there's nothing you can do with yourself. Your life, literally, there's nothing you're gonna do. You can't. You literally keep on paying debt, and especially if you keep on relieving yourself with debt, all you're gonna do every time you get the little money to actually do some development for your
the debt.
people for your country, you're gonna have to focus on the debt, because these
That's
people
right.
are gonna be either calling you, these contractors you signed, they want their money back, or you do their bidding. That is what you have to do. You
Yeah.
either do their bidding, and this is allowing them to extract resources, to go to places like Isiolo, kill people, fence hectares of land because they want to carbon emit, and it's not going to profit you as an, like, please, we need to wake up. We need to be politically smart. Man, I always feel so bad that most of our people are not politically smart. It's not like I was, but I was questioning things. Trust me. Like, it's so many things I've really questioned that I saw people walking themselves into blindly. Starting from the COVID-19, I started questioning a lot. Like, why are we being curfewed? What do you tell me I need to be in the house by 6 p.m.? And why are the police being brutal? And then details started coming out. Oh, what they're doing, what they're instilling, when they were launching the 5Gs, all that. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to do you this and all that. You start questioning before you make some, because people are so much driven by fear. This is what
I
also
give
the
you,
weapon thing.
I give you credit, Joby. You made really good decisions. I like how
Africans,
did Joby make all these good decisions growing with all the
Africans
crazy stuff?
Africans, we've been driven, and I feel like me understanding a lot of things. Africans, we've been driven by fear in every single way, every
Of
angle of
course,
our life. So I even have
true.
seriously, you have people who are getting married very young because they're like, oh, by the age of 25, I'm so old. I need to have settled. I need to have kids. Who told you it's a must? Who told you this is? Stop. Can you try think different from what the community, the society is telling you? What if by 30 you have your own car, you have your own mansion and business going on, and you can travel the world without having children crying across you and trying to figure out, and just enjoy life. What about that? We're so driven by
I don't
fear.
know, Joe, but to me, your thinking and decision making, I don't know, Joe, was very mature back then. It just wow. At 18 and 19 and all that kind of stuff, it's very mature. That's why I always give you credit.
I've learned looking at my mom. I don't want to know life. Even I was even talking myself when I was cleaning my house. I want nothing like my mom's life. I want nothing like my dad's life.
How did you know that though? Most people emulate their parents. How did you know that at such a young age? How did you? Most kids don't think like that, Joe. It's just that's what I say. I'm always amazed. Always amazed that at a young age you were able to. Nah, I don't want this. It just amazes me. I'm very proud of you, but I'm very envious that you can think that way at 16, 17. It's like, wow, how could you? I don't want this kind of life. What?
Being exposed again, living with different people, it gave me a
All
different
right.
perspective of the life I wanted, and
All
also
right.
myself. I was even telling the guy we were arguing with, like, he was telling me, "Do you believe you're a journalist?" I'm like, "What the hell are you asking me? Do I believe I'm a journalist? Why am I here if I am not a
Yo.
journalist?" Like, he's like, "No, like, do you really believe from deep down?" I'm like, "Listen, Negro,
Yeah, you,
okay,
yeah,
this
you are one. What do you mean?
I've manifested this since I was a child. Okay, I've done interviews on myself." I told him that. He was like, "Doing interviews on yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." I sat down, I visualized, I saw myself on TV, on a radio, doing interviews, and that is what I wanted, and that's what came to being. So it's from the passion, not even from study, from anything. It's from what I've always wanted. So yes, I'm a journalist, and if you doubt it, I'm sorry. I can't prove any much longer. Okay, you just have to listen, or you just have to mind your own business and go listen to those
You're a
silly people.
journalist. One of
You
the
know,
best journalists. You're a very
yeah.
good journalist.
Thank you. And that's what's up. But family, we're coming to the end of today's conversation right there. I see John Mosquito earlier was saying not different to the average black person who engages in a business deal today and doesn't read the small print. It's crazy, man. Critical thinking, critical common sense thinking. Pay attention to details. Be keen be observant. I don't know. I just think you just have to have it in you also, and the universe has to be on your side, or the creator, and you also have to you need to understand yourself, so for you to be guided in a lot of things. I don't know, I think that's just it. You need to know yourself, you need to understand what you know, and you'll be guided, and you'll start questioning things and understanding things, because that's just how life it is. But anyway, family, what are your closing remarks, Keith? We're coming to the end of
Well,
today's
my closing remarks that Joby always impressed me with her journalism. She understands. She'd never be able to talk like this on a regular media because she just explained how the system actually works. And most Africans, even most journalists, don't know what Joby knows. But she did, and she's not just regurgitating facts; she actually understands them, knows them, and puts her own understanding to it. But she understands these things, so it's led her to a place where, man, I don't know. Conversations get rough around people she knows because they don't know what she knows. It's got to be rough.
It does, man. You should see me. I get heated on conversations. I'm like, man, okay. I even sit. I have to change positions of sitting. Like, let's talk now. Like, what are you saying? You know, it's crazy, but yeah, it also. I think it also has to come with. I talk about passion personally a lot. You know, for you to be in a certain position, it has to come from a point of passion. I talk about it every single time. We see it even on our system, our government. We have people who are so unskilled for the positions they are being given, and that's why they fail to deliver, because it's about corruption, nepotism, and all that. We've really lost connection with also each other, because we have people who have been put in certain areas and they're just not supposed to be there. You know, they're not supposed to be there. It's like I always use this example, which is very logical. How can you be a teacher if you don't have love for children? You know, how? Just that simple.
How about that?
How can you be a teacher if you don't have love for children? You can't be a nurse also if you can't take care of people, because you're gonna be cruel. You're gonna be looking at people like shit.
Exactly true.
You're supposed to show them
They're gonna be breaking babies' bones.
Exactly, literally, you know. So it has to come from a point of passion, literally, and everything again, like I said, the universe is gonna guide you and you're gonna understand things in a deeper level. So that's how my closing remarks. Shout out to everyone who has been with me, and to those who shall be catching this on a replay. I hope you guys also get to enjoy my time with you right here on the Pan African Bliss Show. We do this every Monday to Friday. But see you guys, of course, later.
I'm always surprised how much Joby knows now. I'm like, wow. Joby, come on in. The World Bank, the IMF, this is what it does. So I read the title, how they keep us in poverty. They're like, damn, Joby know everything now. It's crazy.
And be careful out there. The system is watching you, you know, as much as, you know, me personally, I walk being cautious, very cautious, like very cautious. You know, you never know who's
Joby's aware of us surroundings. Joby said last night, yeah, imagine like a Ghani going down to South Africa and killing somebody. That's right.
I don't even trust people. If I see someone new in the room, I don't even say, yo, what is mine about? I don't know you. Like, I don't know. How much love on the other today. Remember, we shall be talking about. We say we shall be talking about what today? I forgot completely. There was a topic.
I forgot. We're going to talk about the 34 missing black women in the DMV area.
Okay, I'll do my research on that particular end. So much love.
You're going to have to go on TikTok. You know it's not going to be on Google. You're going to have to go on TikTok and maybe YouTube.
It's on Instagram.